Donald Trump elected 47th president.
Joe Biden made care home resident.
And Kamala Harris supporters' insanity is evidence.
Welcome to the state of it.
The state of it.
Hi folks, welcome to the state of it. This week we're talking about the pretty big news story, the elephant in the room. I suppose that's the rhinos.
What news? What news?
What news? Well, it's the
What's happened?
47th. Unless you've been sleeping under a rock or in Iraq, the president of the United States again is Donald Trump. So he's the 45th and now the 47th president. So I thought we'd kick things off this week and have a look at the reactions to that. And despite there being quite a lot of content already available, I thought this tweet, to me, really captures the very essence of the reaction. Now, just to pre-warn you, this is coming from a obstetrician who specializes in, obviously, women's health. And so this is what she put. To every woman that voted for Trump, I hope your daughter has an ectopic pregnancy.
Isn't that just precious?
Isn't that just the lovely, kind and sweet left that they so profess to be? Now, I'd like to class myself as fairly neutral in this field, but the sort of that level of progressive thinker would always like to say how awful and horrible and evil their opponents are, and yet happily dishes out something that egregious. I mean, what are your initial thoughts?
It's a pretty shocking thing to say.
Yeah.
It's a pretty shocking thing to say. I think if we can gain one thing from the election, it is that the left is just as bad, if not worse, in a lot of cases, than the right in regards to what they say and how they say it and the violence of which they speak of and enact. Now, she's stupid. What a stupid woman.
Yeah.
To go... She's American, I'm assuming. Yep.
Yep, correct. Yeah, she's actually, as I said, an obstetrician. Yeah, she's an American lady. Doctor.
So she's paid for university over there, either paid for it up front or got herself in a lot of debt for it, gone through however many years to become a doctor, is a doctor, and then wishes ectopic pregnancies on anyone that voted Trump. What a fool.
It's worse than that. If you actually read it, she's not even wishing such things onto the person who voted for Trump. She's saying the daughters. So, I mean, generally speaking, the sort of age difference between the voters is what if her daughter wasn't even a Trump supporter, a Democrat, or not a Trump supporter at all. She's effectively saying that just because her mother voted for Trump, that she'd happily, under her care, wish an ectopic pregnancy on her. So that's not only affecting her, but her unborn daughter. I mean, it's okay, people can say things willy-nilly. I'm very much a supporter of free speech, and off-the-cuff things can sometimes be a little harsher. But to type something out, and then obviously to spell it all correctly, and a lot of thought went into this, to adapt it and apply it to her specific field of expertise, and wish something that probably the worst thing, or one of the worst things that could be happening to somebody in such circumstances, to then hit send and keep it there. It's not just, that's obviously, fortunately, this person lost their job. But as I said, it's not a case of just the person responsible for voting for Trump. She wishes that upon her daughter. It's a very, very cruel and specific thing to say.
What's even worse is a Democrat, somebody on the left, how they can be so blatantly transphobic. Does she not know that people's sons can get pregnant as well?
Well, I've often said this, and it seems to be very applicable. I mean, because I think obviously we're being slightly tongue in cheek with saying such things. However, they happily see people have their lives and livelihoods ruined for being exclusionary. But it's also something. So, absolutely fine to say the most egregious and nasty things you could ever even conceive of. But obviously, if their opponent or opposition says anything even slightly untoward, like, which I disagree with Donald Trump's historic, grab him by the this comment. Not great, not something I would particularly say was the nicest of language, but this guy is then suddenly the most hateful, evil person in the world. So, just to summarize where I'm coming from here, is that, in my opinion, if the left didn't have double standards, they don't have any standards at all.
I agree with that. I don't understand how we got here as a society to. You can disagree with people about their politics, of course. That's a major point about politics, is the disagreements and the discussions that people have around it. But to be so actively hateful against somebody for their political views, and it doesn't even have to be that person's political views that are lifelong. Some people change election by election. So someone who's voted for Trump this time may have voted Democrat every other time, may vote Democrat the next time. You don't know, it's just one vote. But to be so actively spiteful and hateful against people, I don't understand how we've got here as a society. Because the whole point of it, like I've just said, is to have discussions, disagreements, and debates. Now, you can have friends that disagree with you politically, but are still wonderful people, and you still have a lot in common. And maybe you talk about politics and have a really good, hearty discussion. Or maybe it's a subject that you dismiss altogether because you're at opposite sides of the fence, but you're still friends. You can still talk about everything else. Maybe you like the same music, same films, blah, blah, blah. So, for this person to be so completely hateful, and like you've mentioned, it's not just her, it's a lot of people on the left. I've already seen a lot of celebrities, movie stars, music stars putting things out about how horrible the next 4 years are going to be, about how horrible and awful it is that he's been voted in. But he did win the popular vote, so a lot of the country. I mean, how much was it in the end? Was it like 70 million or something
It's around
voted
that.
for him?
They haven't really even been completed yet, but yeah, it's something along that lines. It was, yeah.
So those people, I mean, that doctor in particular hopes that 70 million people's daughters have ectopic pregnancies. That's insane. She's probably got friends that voted for him. It shouldn't get to that point of hating somebody or thinking you know somebody and everything they stand for by a vote that they cast. It's really insane to me.
It's incredibly sinister, and it's one of those things that sort of is a little bit of an older known point, is that the right simply thinks that the left are misinformed. Now, the left, however, think the right is pure evil. And so, really, how can you engage in anything civil over with somebody who has such extremist views? It's impossible, and it's been such things. That kind of mentality has been fostered by the Democrat Party now since at least Obama was elected in 2008, and all of that at the time, if you remember too, it was all very positive. It was all very progressive and things like that, and that was a better message to unite under. But really, what that was all about, from in sort of on reflection, was just a way to get that kind of division in, because you've got women like her who think they're so superior that they can actually they're able to say such evil things and then still and still feel like morally superior for it. It's outrageous.
It's completely outrageous. From a UK perspective, looking over to America, their parties, so left and right, Democrat and Republican, are a lot more defined, I think, and separated than what we're used to in the UK, or what we've been used to in the UK for the past 15, 20 years. Because ours seem to sort of all merge together now, and defining the left and right is a bit of a pickle. But over there, they really are the opposite sides of the fence. So I can see how somebody would fundamentally disagree with someone who's voted for Trump if they are a Democrat. But again, like you say, it doesn't need to get to this sinister point. I find it quite immoral. I find it quite insane. And quite frankly, if somebody said to me that they'd voted Democrats, I'd be like, okay, fine, up to you. And I would say exactly the same if somebody voted Trump.
Precisely, yeah. And the thing is, though, what is an interesting point about this specific election is that there's obviously been some talk of purple, red, blue equals purple, which is this middle ground that you just mentioned that we've find ourselves in, for better or worse, in my opinion. You know, it was good. If in my sort of originally, I thought it was good, but now, you know, things are always, even to this point, slightly moving in one direction anyway. So everyone's the same, and then they're all moving in one direction, which has got its own problems. However, with this election with Trump, is he's got, like, you know, RFK Jr., he's got Tulsi Gabbard, he's got, you know, Trump himself would have been a Democrat in the 90s, very much a Democrat. And then so he's also got these big voices. Elon Musk himself was definitely on the left before. And so these figures, these sort of high profile figures, have come out, you know, in support of Donald Trump, because they're not happy with how far into the extremes that the left or the Democrat Party are headed. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. Hopefully, this could be seen as, you know, an opportunity, I would say, for people to come together. I've noticed there has been some voices, even on that side of the fence, in the media specifically, like The View, for example, who have been sort of saying things like, maybe we should come together. But one thing that really is important to remember is he was already president for 4 years, and the world didn't fall apart.
No, it didn't fall apart. And I think that Donald Trump will do some good. I think he will do some good for the American economy. And let's not forget the old saying, if America sneezes, the world catches a cold. So if you want to sort out the economy and you want to sort out spending and you want to sort out taxes and money coming in and out of the country, the best thing you can do is have a businessman. Now, like it or lump it, Donald Trump is a billionaire. So clearly he's a good businessman. And he's going to appoint, supposedly, Elon Musk, who is the richest man in the world, because he's a good businessman. So the economy, I think, will boom. The economy, at least, I think, will boom. I think that'll be a good thing for America.
Well, breaking, this is just coming in, actually. It seems this is coming in from the Alternate Dimension news report. Apparently, Kamala won?
In a stunning turn of events, Vice President Kamala Harris has won the presidential election, defeating her opponents by a landslide. President Harris has announced her first executive order mandating that every citizen must laugh after every sentence they speak. Whether it's good news or bad news you're delivering, you will now be forced to laugh, and failure to do so will result in life in prison. We now join our correspondent James Jameson at a doctor's office in Texas, where a family will be told some devastating news.
Hello, I'm here in downtown Texas with Dr. Emma Royd, as she's about to deliver the news that poor old Grandma Blanche did not make it out of surgery.
We did everything we could, but unfortunately, your grandma has passed away.
Oh no, Grandma, I'm heartbroken. Who's gonna look after little Petal Primrose right now? Back to you in the studio.
Another policy that will be imposed in the coming days is that abortion will be legal at any age. If you're 60 years old and have a child aged 34, you can now legally have that child aborted. We've sent reporter Joe Johansson over to Florida to investigate further. Joe, over to you.
I'm here in Florida, outside the Abort Mission Abortion Clinic, with 43-year-old Graham Smith and his mother, 65-year-old Janice. Graham, tell us what's happening. Mom's getting me aborted. I can't believe it. Just wanted to play my video games, and now I'm gonna die.
I wanted a lawyer or a doctor. Instead, I ended up with this lazy good for nothing. I'm getting rid of him, and then I'm gonna take myself on a cruise.
Please help me.
Get in there, you son of a...
Well, goodbye, Graham. Back to the studio.
In one final act of defiance, President Harris has declared that anyone who voted Republican will be sent to prison with immediate effect. President Harris was asked to overturn the ruling, as after the arrest of all the Republican voters, there was no one left to man the cameras and the teleprompter at her inaugural speech, leaving President Harris to her own devices. We have a clip of that speech for you to watch now. The best thing about being president is the unprecedented president's presence. Thank you. Yeah, I'm president. Thank you. Thank you. Back to you.
Oh, heaven forbid. Could you imagine? I think we've had a bit of a lucky escape. I don't know if you agree.
Actually, I was watching, Candace Owens.
Yeah.
I was watching one of her YouTube videos and what she had to say. And she was talking about, I can't remember if it was something said on The View or something else, but somebody was saying, how dare all the women not vote for a woman kind of thing. And she basically summed it up and said, it's not that women don't want to vote for a woman, they just don't want to vote for a weak woman. And I think that sums it all up, really. God forbid, like you say, that she did win, because I just think it would be an absolute, I want to say but we can't swear, so I'll bleep that out. But that's what I think it would be. And I do think that she is weak. And now
Yeah.
Hillary wasn't weak, but Hillary was an absolute criminal. That's the difference. So you're standing here with the choice between Donald Trump, who does have a past, but the man's nearly 80, so who's not, who's going to get to 80 and not have a past? We all make mistakes. Do I, as a woman, like the things that he's said before and done before? No. Do I think that those things are his entire personality? No. But when posed between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, who was the most disliked vice president in history.
Yeah.
So I don't know who decided to put her up for the presidential race. She was wildly unpopular when she was vice.
I think you've made an excellent point there, because if she would have won, it was all possible. I don't think anybody really knew 100% which way. I think you had one thought, I had another initially, but we've all it was still all to play for, right up until last week, or up until this week even. But if they chose, I was going to say something else, Hillary, with a K in the beginning. If they chose her, she would have been also damaging to the concept of having a female president because of her incredible, incredible history herself. I'd say a lot darker than many candidates. And so her like self-serving nature, and she's also she's not a weak person by any stretch, and she's very competent as a politician. You cannot deny that. Absolutely not. But for all of the wrong reasons.
And we all know the state of mind of Joe Biden as well. We couldn't really trust him to make decisions, especially on vice presidents. But we've got the president now.
Yeah.
What do you think America's going to look like in 4 years' time?
Well, hopefully, everything Trump said that he's going to do, because rather than absorb the news from a source that has biases and things, I try to sort of adopt all sorts of sides and actually listen to the person themselves. So based on what he's going to do, he's going to try to sort of change the landscape. So obviously he had 2 assassination attempts on him this year. That they're only going to increase, and that's based on the media rhetoric. And all of that comes down to the fact that this has been allowed to continue, this sort of division. The state departments like the FBI, the CIA, as well, those sorts of departments have all been Democrat-led, and they've absolutely politicized this. Like the DOJ have finally dropped the charges against him. But I think what it's going to look like in 4 years is hopefully they'll be able to stop these sorts of things happening, and that the US Constitution needs to be back at the forefront, and they need to stop trying to sort of, rewrite it ultimately.
So he made some bold claims. So made a claim that he's going to release, which, to be honest, is what I'm most excited about, him being president. Is going to release the sort of the files, the JFK files,
right,
and all these old ones. I mean, I wonder if he's going to release like Marilyn Monroe, Area 51, like JFK. I want to see it. I really want to see it, because then we're going to know. So yeah, he's made some very bold claims already. So we're going to have to see if he enacts on those with what he said he's going to do. And like you say, I've gone to the source. I've listened to Donald Trump. I've seen what he said he's going to do in regards to the American government getting rid of people that shouldn't be there, bringing Elon Musk in, putting tariffs on things, doing things to taxes, etc., etc. I can see it working. And I think, to be honest, if that does work, I think that's one of the things that will bring people together. Because if people feel economically stable in their lives, they're going to feel more stable in other areas of their lives as well. So if he can do that, I think altogether in 4 years, he should be leaving the country in a much better place.
Yeah, most definitely. And like you say, hopefully the ramifications, if it does go well, will be felt by us too, and across the world, because of course they are the world's superpower. So everything that they do is always going to be important to us. And it has made me wonder what our king might think. Darling, did you hear the news?
Which news, darling?
Well, it appears the Americans have decided to elect that ghastly Trump fellow again.
No, I know. What on earth are they thinking?
Ugh, I know. I'll never forgive him for walking in front of Mummy.
Does that mean we will have to host him and Melanoma when they visit?
Oh dear, I hadn't even thought of that. Maybe I could book a trip to Romania to avoid him, like I did with Harry.
That's an excellent idea, darling. Oh, you are a clever thing, aren't you?
Yes, darling.
Talking of Romania, do you remember that naughty little trip we took there?
Oh, of course, darling. You were awfully good at galloping.
I'll never forget that time with the saddle and crop where I...
Okay, folks, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.